All right, let's talk about something we all do, but let's be honest, very few of us have actually mastered sleep. We tend to treat it like a luxury, right? The first thing to go when life gets busy. But the science is absolutely crystal clear on this. Sleep is a non negotiable biological necessity for our most important asset, our brain.
So let's dive in by talking about a problem that I'm willing to bet many of us know all too well. It's that feeling of just running on empty, of trying to operate the most powerful supercomputer in the known universe, your brain, without giving it the charge it desperately needs.
You know that feeling, right? When you plug your phone in all night long, you wake up, you look at it, and it's somehow only at 20%? Ah, so frustrating. Well, that is exactly what a bad night's sleep does to your brain. Yeah, you can probably get through the day, but everything feels slower, a little fuzzier, and just harder than it needs to be. And look, this is not just about feeling a little groggy or needing an extra cup of coffee. The consequences of consistently poor sleep go way beyond that. It impacts pretty much every single system in your body. We're talking about a seriously increased risk for major chronic conditions like diabetes, high blood pressure, and even neurodegenerative diseases like Alzheimer's. The stakes here are incredibly high. This is serious stuff. So how does this incredibly vital system even work? You'd think it would be super complex, but really, at its core, our entire sleep-wake cycle is run by two simple, really powerful forces. You can think of them as the two bosses running your brain's sleep department. Now, these two bosses are in a constant push and pull. On one side, you've got your circadian rhythm. That's your master 24-hour clock, and it's totally synced to light and darkness. It's the one that tells your body when it's time to feel sleepy. And on the other side, you've got sleep pressure. This is more like a sand timer, an hourglass. From the moment you wake up, the sand starts filling up, telling you how much you need to sleep. Let's dig into that first boss a little bit more. Your circadian rhythm isn't just one single clock in your brain. No, it's a whole network of molecular clocks in, get this, literally every cell of your body. It's like the master conductor of an orchestra, and it uses light as its baton to direct this huge daily symphony of processes. Everything from hormone release to your body temperature, all to keep you perfectly in tune with the 24-hour day. Okay, so what about that second boss, sleep pressure? Well, this whole process is driven by a chemical called adenosine. It's actually pretty simple. The second you wake up, adenosine starts to build up in your brain. The more you have, the sleepier you feel. And then, when you finally sleep, your brain gets to work clearing all of it away, which basically flips the hourglass back over so you can start the next day totally fresh. So, if our bodies have this brilliant, elegant system all figured out, why are so many of us struggling so much? Well, it turns out that modern life has introduced some pretty powerful saboteurs that are basically waging war on our internal clocks. Let's meet the two biggest culprits. First up, our good old friend caffeine. We all think of it as giving us energy, but that's not really what's happening. Caffeine is a master of deception. It works by latching onto the adenosine receptors in your brain, kind of like putting up a roadblock so your brain can't see how much sleep pressure has actually built up. It doesn't get rid of your sleepiness, it just hides it from you. And, while for most healthy adults, the recommended daily limit is about 400 milligrams, that's roughly 4 cups of coffee, the real problem isn't just the amount. It's the timing. Get this. Caffeine has a half-life of about 6 hours. That means that coffee you had at 3 p.m. can still be jamming up half of your adenosine receptors when you're trying to fall asleep at 11 p.m. In fact, it's still measurable in your bloodstream for up to 12 hours. Crazy, right? Okay, saboteur number 2, blue light. The light that comes from our phones, our tablets, our TVs. It's on a very specific wavelength that is particularly good at tricking our brains. It's essentially sending a loud, false signal that says, hey, it's still high noon, stay awake. And this little deception has a huge domino effect. By fooling your brain into thinking it's still daytime, blue light actually stops the release of melatonin. That's the key it's time for bed hormone. And without that crucial signal, your entire circadian rhythm just gets totally confused. It makes it harder to fall asleep, and it really reduces the quality of the sleep you do eventually manage to get. Okay, so knowing the enemy is half the battle. How do we fight back against these modern-day sleep thieves? The good news is it's not about being perfect. It's about building simple, consistent habits that get your body's natural systems back in sync. Let's start with your 24-hour clock. Syncing your clock is all about creating strong, predictable signals for your body. And the most powerful signal of all? A consistent wake-up time. Yes, even on weekends. But here's the secret weapon: morning sunlight. Just 10 to 15 minutes of sun exposure not long after you wake up sends a loud and clear message to your brain that the day has officially begun. It sets your entire 24-hour cycle on the right track from the get-go.
So you've done the work. You've synced your clock all day long. Now comes the final, critical task. You have to land the plane. A good wind-down ritual isn't some fluffy luxury. It's how you create a clear buffer zone between the stress of the day and a truly restful night.
We're so good at doing this for kids, but as adults, we completely forget that we need it too. Try to create a 30 to 60-minute buffer zone right before your intended bedtime. And the number one non-negotiable rule of the zone: no electronics. This is your signal to your brain that the day is over and it's time to prepare for sleep. A fantastic tool to use during this wind-down time is the 4-7-8 breathing technique. It's so simple. Let's try it. You just breathe in quietly through your nose for a count of 4. Then you hold your breath for a count of 7. And then you exhale completely through your mouth, making a little whoosh sound for a count of 8. Do that a few times. It literally acts as a natural tranquilizer for your nervous system. And there are plenty of other great tools for your wind-down toolkit. For example, taking a warm bath or shower about an hour before bed might seem like it would wake you up, but it's brilliant. Your body temperature rises in the bath and then it rapidly cools down when you get out, which is a powerful, natural trigger for sleep. Another great tip: a brain dump. Just write down tomorrow's to-do list to get all those nagging thoughts out of your head and onto a piece of paper. Okay, so let's bring this all together. It's time to stop thinking about sleep as this passive, inactive state or, some kind of luxury. It's an active, powerful process that is absolutely fundamental to being your best self every single day. Look, there's a reason you hear that most adults need a solid 7 to 9 hours of sleep per night. This isn't just some arbitrary number. This is the window of time your brain actually needs to perform its critical nightly maintenance, like taking out the trash and filing away the day's memories so you can learn and remember. So if you take one thing away from all of this, let it be this: prioritizing your sleep isn't just another wellness trend. It is one of the most powerful and effective things you can possibly do for your mind, your mood, and your body. It is the firm foundation that the rest of your health is built on. And that brings us right back to where we started. We obsess over keeping our devices charged, right? We make sure they're at 100% for the day ahead. So the question I want to leave you with is this: why would you demand any less from the most powerful and precious device you will ever own?